Hello friends, welcome to another video. Today's review is Evermore by Sarah Holland. It is book 2 of the duology. I'm not exactly sure what we want to call this duology. I'm trying to get it so you can see the cover without the glare as nice as possible. I love the detail of the city in the hourglass. I also got this one from my library. It is a youth book. It is closed door with the romance in it. There's not much. It's mostly about her story and her journey. I'll read the blurb. Hi, Levi. As a child, Jules Ember was taught that the wicked alchemist stole the good sorceress's heart, dooming her people to live and die by the time captured in their blood and preserved in the currency. Come on. While the rich thrive for centuries, the poor are lucky to scrape together a few years. But Jules has just learned the truth. She is the alchemist. And Caro, a woman who single-handedly murdered the queen and Jules' first love, Rowan, in cold blood, is the sorceress. Now Caro will stop at nothing to destroy Jules and reclaim her heart. Forced to flee Everless, Jules must delve into the stories she once believed to be legends, but that she now recognizes are accounts of her own dangerous past. For it is only by piecing together the mysteries of her first life that Jules will be able to save the boy she's falling in love with and end the sorceress forever. So obviously the main characters are still Jules. There's mentions of her father, but he died in the first book, Caro, and then Ina, who is the queen's adopted daughter, who becomes the queen. Their main guard, Ivan, obviously Roan and his brother Liam Gerling, B, who is one of the other servants, Addie, who is Jules' best friend from growing up, and Elias is Liam's best friend. Hi, Levi. Hi, handsome boy. Oh, he's just off screen. You can just see his tail. Just see the tail. Nah. He's looking out the window. So this one pretty much picks up right where the first one left off. It is all in first person from Jules' point of view. So we get to miss little things like what the other characters are doing off when they're away from Jules, obviously. I would say this book it's literally about self-discovery. Like, you really see Jules grow and change as she progresses through the book and coming to terms with how things are. There are definitely a lot of twists in this book and things that you weren't quite expecting. I'll say, if you've watched my videos before, you know I don't look much into things. I don't try and figure it out beforehand. And even with the young adult book, I'm going to take my bookmark out of that before I bring it back to the library. So I was happily surprised and disappointed at several different points in the book when different things happened. I don't remember giving me a whole bunch of feels. Like, it definitely had a good storyline and it was interesting. I was shocked a few times and moments, like aha, when we discover what some of the secrets were in the book. She definitely has a complicated relationship with Caro. So her being the alchemist, small spoiler, but not completely, especially if you've read the first book. So Jules keeps being reborn, and she's got 11 or 12 lives, and she doesn't really remember that much of her past lives. Like, every time she's starting over again. So it's kind of frustrating for her because Caro actually never died and remembers everything. So she feels like she's behind and she's trying to figure out who the alchemist is and who she is and what's going on. And Caro has just sort of been slowly corrupted over years and years and years of bitterment and hatred and all that stuff. So like the good and evil aspects are pretty standard in most books. And of course, like the legends say that Jules is the bad guy and Caro is the good guy. And obviously she's learning how to use her powers and time and whatnot. Now, I felt like everything wrapped up nicely in the book. They answer all the questions. They get everything solved. I feel like it was up and down with the pace. Like there's slow parts and there's high parts and there's slow parts, and there's maybe some bits that we could have skipped, like we didn't really need in the book. Like one of the characters, I feel like we didn't really need her at all. She didn't really add that much to the book. I didn't even mention her name. I can't even remember it now. I have to look it up in the book, and I'm not going to. But it wraps up nicely. All the questions are answered, and it leaves some to the imagination, but not everything. I would definitely, I'm going to give it, and of course there's no dragons. Can't forget that mention if there's dragons or not. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a good book. The writing was good, and I mean, you got to take into account that this is her first book for a young adult. When I was a teenager, I would have absolutely loved this book, like eaten it right up. The plot was kind of basic, but there's parts that I really did like. I like that using the time as a method of payment was very unique and interesting. I still liked it enough that I thought it was a page turner, though. Like, I read it fairly quickly. I will not be rereading them, and I do not want to own them. I am glad I've read them, but I don't think I'll reread it. But I will recommend it to people. I suggest you read these. They were good. I would suggest if you have teenagers in your life, to let them read this book. It was a good book. A few life lessons, not too many, but still interesting. Yeah, that's a little shorter than some of my videos. I'm going to fill the end with a little bit of personal news. My little creamsicle kitty Baz, who you have met in past videos, unfortunately we had to have him put down. He had unrepairable kidney failure on top of, I can't remember what they called it, but basically his body was rejecting his teeth, which I'd never really heard of before, but the vet said they'd seen it in other cats, and usually they are fine, but for some reason it hit him much harder than other cats, which is absolutely terrible. We were definitely upset and heartbroken, and tears were shed. But we did give him a good life, even though it was only a year and a half, and we could have extended his life, but he would have just been suffering. So, bye-bye Baz, and we will be getting a new kitty, because poor Levi is very lonely and very clingy, and hopefully I get to introduce you to him in the next video. I hope you guys have an absolutely great day, and I will see you all later.